support. One such group is called Salt and Light. Salt and Light is an organization that's actually national, and they work within the churches to do political action that is biblically founded. And so I want to introduce to you right now a gentleman, Phil, come on up. Phil Dershem, who is going to talk to you a little bit about Salt and Light, what it is, and maybe give you an idea. Unfortunately for Phil, the materials that he was supposed to have at his table to hand out to you today so that you could hear a little bit more about it, they didn't arrive. So you'll just have to talk to him personally. Maybe he can write your email address down and be able to send that to you when the time comes. But Salt and Light is a wonderful thing, and we want you to hear more about it from Phil.
Yeah, although I don't have any materials, I do have a website, and you can put your email address down as well and find out everything you ever want to know. And by the way, they have 18 different video clips that you can access on your computer. Very interesting things that apply to our state and our national government. But Salt and Light is biblical citizenship for the churches. I just have a couple introductory quotes. Yesterday was the celebration of the 50th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King marching to the Capitol and giving that famous speech, "I Have a Dream." And one of the things that he said was, we start to die the moment we become silent about the things that really matter. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. Another quote is from thousands of years ago by one who was said to be the wisest king that ever lived, King Solomon. And from the book of Proverbs, the 29th chapter, the 2nd verse, it says, "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked man rules, the people groan." And that could apply from the city level all the way up to the federal government, not to just pinpoint any one person. I need my podium for my notes. Okay, so where does the name Salt and Light come from? Well, the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 13 to 16, describes our logo, Salt and Light. And if you've been raised in a church, I'm sure you're very familiar with these words. And it says, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men." It also says, "You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven." And if there's ever a time that the citizens of America, as well as the Christians, need to shine and step up to the plate, it's now. Just a little comment I made on these two verses, or actually there's more than two verses. The comment is this: as Christians and fellow citizens, have we lost our saltiness? And also, is our light growing dim? Because it really needs to shine at this time in our country's history. Okay, there's an acronym that spells the word Peter. And for each letter, it kind of explains what our mission is as the Salt and Light Ministry. So the P stands for pray. This is our first priority. It says we pray for our elected officials, our country, those in authority, issues that most impact our Christian values, and spiritual revival. We are a prayer ministry first. And then the E in Peter stands for educate. And what we do, we educate our members, enabling them to apply a biblical worldview to all areas of life, with emphasis on the proper roles of government and American citizens. Education may cover subjects such as God's non-negotiable moral values, historical foundations, the Constitution, creation, and pending issues in legislation like were just mentioned. I hate to read so much of this, but I couldn't memorize it all. So I'm going to talk more about our foundational issues. And the first one is the issues that have the most potential to influence our culture form the foundation of His Salt and Light citizenship ministry. And then life. Human life is sacred and precious. Therefore, we stand in opposition to abortion, euthanasia, and embryonic stem cell research. The family. The family is the basic building block of society and demonstrably the best environment for raising the next generation. Therefore, we support all efforts to strengthen the family and oppose undermining parental authority or the integrity of the family. And then the next, freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is guaranteed in our Constitution. We will oppose any infringement of this right and any artificially imposed obstacles to our responsibility to preach the gospel. And then the last one, support for Israel. God promises in Genesis 12:3, He promises blessings to those who look out for His chosen people, the Jews. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. We support Israel and oppose radical Islam. Similarly, we oppose the establishment or acceptance of Sharia law in our country, which is a means of enslaving, not liberating people. One thing that Salt and Light is designed to do is be a turnkey operation, a simple thing to use in a church that won't encumber the pastor with more work, which they already have a lot of. So I'm going to read you a little bit. Well, first I'm going to read you this. It says, turning America's culture around starts in your church. Now this is really significant. And it's really a condemnation to Christians and the church. It says, less than 1/2 of the 40 million American Christians vote. And only 9% of all Americans have a biblical worldview. Is it any wonder why our schools, government, and media are failing? And talking about a biblical worldview, it's not much discussed at all. But if you go back to Yale, Princeton, and Harvard, those schools that were at the very beginning of our country, they were schools to train ministers. The Bible was highly regarded. Anyway, I was going to talk about what we do and what we are set out to do. It is to increase pastor impact without increasing the workload. I kind of already said that. It mobilizes like-minded citizens at the grassroots level. It's an easy to start turnkey ministry. And it informs the congregation encourages them to action. I have 1 minute left. Oh, I gotta cut to the chase. I have a lot of things on my card. We'll get to the bottom line here. I should have timed this. Okay. Skipping a lot here. I just want to talk about one of our most respected forefathers, and that, of course, is our first president, George Washington. And what did George Washington say? He said, "It is impossible to rightly govern a nation without God and the Bible." And to Lincoln, he said, this is a quote, he said, "Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right." I like that. Abraham Lincoln. One thing that comes to mind, that as far as I know, every president that's been sworn into office takes his oath, placing his hand on the Bible. But yet that same Bible is so seldom read today, so seldom followed. And I think that would be one big step back to seeing a change in our country for the good. That's it.
Phil will have an awful lot more to tell you about Salt and Light, and he will be back at that table. If you want to learn more about it, maybe how you can get involved or to get Salt and Light Ministry at your church, please talk to him, and he'll make sure that you find a way to get the materials. Never before in our history have we been more aware of the truth of the statement, elections have consequences. We are seeing that in spades. And so the message from Salt and Light is vote your values. These things are happening to us because too many of us have not really voted our values. And so whatever your values are, that's the kind of government you're going to get. Salt and Light is supporting the kind of values that Phil is talking about. But however you vote, make sure it's with your values and not because somebody told you to or whatever. You all know that. You're here. But that's the big message that we have. We suffer the consequences when we don't vote for the people who hold our values. The people who voted yes on this bill don't hold my values. And so I think all of us here can say that today.